there is Rodney HotRod Dowell.
How you doing, Mr. Gary? Dr. Gary, after that surgery you did yesterday.
We did some surgery yesterday, didn't we?
Did some surgery on the old intake there. I appreciate you doing that for me.
Yep. Those projects like that are kind of fun to do, to kind of repair.
Yeah.
Repair the broken. Yeah. It's kind of fun to do that stuff. I enjoy that.
Cool. So, yeah. The weather is a little better. I mean, we're in the 30s, going to the 40s. You know, it's not in the zeros.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Warming up.
Yep. It's going to get in the 40s, 50s. We got one comment already. What's going on here? Ron Rich. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Well, this is a different time, different chunk of the day that we're doing this, dodging the football stuff, and hopefully it works out. And we got some cool stuff going on here with a couple cool guys. Yeah,
I'm excited to talk to these two. You know, we went to their races the last couple of years, and in Tulsa, and we saw them at PRI and talked to them, and I'm interested in some of their new classes and what they got going on, and it's a great series, and appreciate them coming on today. So it's going to be fun talking to Larry and Al. I'm excited.
I got something else real quick.
What do you got?
Check this out. Have you seen these?
Is that the Stanley Cup?
It is.
Heard about those.
Okay, I had not. And after our show last week, my sister-in-law, Tiffany's sister, Julie, talking to her, and she goes, "You know how to boost your viewership?" I'm like, "No, tell me." She goes, "You need to get a Stanley Cup, and that'll increase your viewers." So
there it goes. There's I
ordered one.
Views right there.
Then I did some checking on the crazy mess that comes with them cups, and I had no idea. And she was explaining some of that to me, but
I was seeing some of that. Yeah, you're set, man. You're hip. Like
cool.
You're ready to go.
It's 40 ounces. I paid for it. They did not send it to me.
All right, that's your money.
I'm good. Who we got here in the background here? Who we got?
Oh, we got Larry and Al from Titans of 10-5. We're going to bring them in and talk about what they got going on this year. A lot of good stuff. New class, new schedule. Great bunch of guys. So I'm ready to talk.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's bring them on. Let me situate this. There's Mr. Larry and Mr. Al.
How's it going, guys?
How you doing, guys?
Hey, we're going on the screen. I can see us, so we're all four there. I'm thinking, man, what a deal. I didn't realize we were on such a big dog deal here, cool music when it starts and sitting there in front of a big Neil Chance torque converter and your red car. And I'm just, you were doing the intro and I'm going, wow, Larry and I, we're just homeboys. We're not used to all this kind of crap,
Hey,
that's cool.
That intro still makes us go, wow, that's really cool.
No kidding, man.
Although I'm thinking, those cups, you just need to get somebody to put Gary and HotRod show on there and start selling them.
I like that.
Yeah, and there is a local. We have a local girl that has an outfit that can probably do that.
I always like to think about a way to make a buck.
There you go.
So we just need a Gary and HotRod cup.
Yeah, that's right.
You guys see that ticker below the Titans of 10-5? That your Facebook page?
Yes.
Right on.
Very cool.
I do. I got to put my glasses on, but yeah, I see it going down there. Cool.
All right. That's you.
Need some glasses, Larry?
What's that?
You need some glasses? You good?
I'm good. I'm not that old yet.
Okay.
Yeah, Larry's a young guy. He don't need glasses. I can't see shit,
It's coming.
There's that word again.
Yep. Yeah, I know. It's just my bad.
Oh, that's funny. No, but for me, Titans of 10-5, I heard about it last couple of years. Gary and I ran down to Tulsa, I think, last year and raced that race. It was like 153 degrees out that day, if I remember right.
Yeah.
But we had a good time, and I can just honestly say that the promoters, all the racers, treat us like family. We didn't know anybody. We went into that gate not knowing anybody.
Oh, is that right? Really?
Yeah. And my buddy Marty Chance, he's like, "Hey, HotRod, are you going to Tulsa this weekend?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Can you take some stators down there for me?" A guy named, I think his name Gary Spaniak. And so I didn't know him, but like I was like, "Yeah, I'll take it down there." And so we loaded them down there, and I looked around. I'm looking for this Maverick, and I see it inside this super nice trailer on the lift and stuff. And I bang on this door, and this redheaded guy runs out. "Hey, what's going on?" I was like, it was Devin, but I didn't know that, And so I'm like, "I got some stators," and so we got them all fixed up. A great group, man. Great group. I think we've raced there twice now at Tulsa. Went to the semis, and then we got lucky and made it to the final. I mean, fast cars down there, but great.
Okay. So Tulsa's not a regular hangout for you guys either, then.
No.
If they have an event like what you guys have, a small tire deal, that's definitely on our radar, but they don't regularly have something unless a deal like yours comes in there.
Right. Yeah, they've kind of done away with their small tire thing, but I didn't know for sure where you guys actually had raced at over the past years.
Yeah, we love going to Tulsa. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He takes care of us down there.
Okay.
Yeah, track manager Jimmy, he's good to us down there, and in fact he made a schedule opening for us before we even asked for it this year. He was already planning for us to be there, so that made us feel pretty good.
That's great. And yeah, we'll get to your schedule just here in a little bit. I want to move it to the left just a little bit. I did some background on you guys, just checking it out. I know that you guys kind of came from the Ozark track, managing it and staffing and that sort of thing. And so the first question I'll ask is like, where'd you guys meet? How'd you get together?
At ORP.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Larry as a youngster had been to my shop, and I don't remember, you said you bought axles one time. I don't really remember that, but it bought a set of axles when I had the chassis shack and when he had a little pickup. But we really got to be friends when I became the manager of Ozark Raceway Park. And Larry was one of my go-to guys for everything and anything help, and anybody that's been involved in a racetrack and the operation of it knows that even if you think you know what you're getting yourself into, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
I've never met a track owner yet that knew what he was buying.
Right.
Or a manager that took that job that knew what he was getting into. And Larry was just one of the people that was there to support and help do whatever we needed. I mean, I'd say, "Larry, I need an announcer," and he'd do it, or "I need a lane guy," and he'd do it, or I need the Gestapo, and he'd do that, and so we just became good friends from that.
Very cool. Very cool. So, Larry or Al, do you guys race cars, or did you, how'd you get into cars?
Well, Larry, I think he raced a couple different cars. I started out years ago as a super pro racer, and I'm still a super pro racer. We're just lowly bracket guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I started racing in '99 in an S10 pickup, and then the car that I have now, I've had since my dad built that car back in '04. So the Malibu I have, and sadly my dad passed away in 2008, and so I just kind of took over the car and updated it a few times and turned it into what it is today.
Right on.
And I'll just throw it out there. We might as well prove my old age. I went to the racetrack the first time in 1976.
1976.
And
did they?
Go ahead.
Well, I remember going there a little earlier, not that early, but isn't that when they wrote down the time on a card or something?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. You got your ET slip was handwritten, and it had your ET in mile per hour only. That's all there was. There was no reaction time. There was no mid-track timers. None of that. Yeah. And it was class racing still, like stock eliminator. And I don't know if anybody's ever raced stock eliminator. but it's a whole intricate detail of indexes basically. But we rolled up to the gate that night, my buddy and I. Of course, we're a couple of farm kids, and the guy at the gate, he says to me, "Well, you guys racing or watching?" And I said, "Well, I don't have any idea. I don't know." And I had what I thought was a badass hot rod. I had a 340 stick shift Duster,
Cool.
that was my daily and my only car actually. And I said, "I guess we'd like to try it, maybe." And he said, "Well, I'll tell you what, I'll sell you a tech card and I'll sell your buddy there a spectator." And he said, and it's a small little place, this little track, Humboldt County Dragway. We'll put in a plug for them while we're out here too. In northern Iowa. He says, the whole thing was 23 acres, so it was small. And he says, he points, and he says, "You go over there and see that guy standing there and show him your car, and he'll do what he needs to do. And then you go up and you watch the tree and see how that works." And he said, "You go give it a couple tries. And if you like it, great, you can race. And if you don't, come back and get your money,
Okay.
And he said, "You can't beat that deal." And nope. I said, "You're right. Can't beat that deal." And of course, stock eliminator, I'll call it. It really wasn't called that exactly, but stock eliminator, you get all these indexes in your race, all these different cars, and it's staggered just like a bracket race, But I ended up with a trophy nonetheless. And cool. Boy, that just set the hook,
Yeah.
It was over from that point on.
Yeah. First time out, got a trophy.
Yeah. You didn't want your money back that day, did you?
Did not.
No.
Did not.
Yeah.
We were there for good at that point,
Right on. Right on. Larry, what about you? What about your first time out?
First time I went to the track, I had a little 86 S10, and I had always went and raced or watched for years, and since I was a little bitty kid at Rogersville, and finally got to, just piece my money together and bought a little S10 pickup, and we built a little 355 for it, and that was it, man. I made the first pass, and you always got problems down there your first time out. I burned a starter up and had a Holly carburetor, and it was boiling fuel over the top, and I thought, man, what did I get myself into? And it was terrible. We was running 1,000 foot. I'll never forget it. It went 1689 at 1,000 foot, and it was terrible. I was absolutely terrible. And we loaded it up that night, and I'll never forget. My dad was driving and back home, and he looks over at me and said, "Well, I can tell you right now, we got to do something different." We're gonna, and that was it. And we started upgrading, and then I ran that truck for 5 or 6 years, and then bought a '69 Chevelle that I really loved. And I wish I had back. Ran it for 4 or 5 years, and then into Malibu now. So, but just run Super Pro every week. That's what I love to do. I'm not a heads up guy. I love bracket racing, but just what we do weekly,
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a great story there too. You sound like you both were hooked, and different
from the get go. And that was
from the get go.
That was 25 years ago. And every time I go to the water box, you still get the butterflies in your stomach. And when I'm pulling through the gate, you just, when you come off Highway 60 to go to Rogersville, the racetrack, there's about a 3-mile stretch of back roads there, and that you go to get down to the track. There's a little 2-lane road, and by the time I pull off Highway 60 to the front gate, if somebody's with me, I never say a word to them, because that's just kind of the you still got the jitters today,
The zone.
Yep.
That's exactly right, Gary.
Al, you talked about being up in Iowa. How did you end up down in southern Missouri?
I hated the winter anyway, up there. But I was working at a truck plant up there for many years in the paint department, and then I transferred over to the machine shop just because I was sick of painting trucks. And we had gone out on strike on Christmas Eve in '91, and I picked my toolbox up that night when we walked out, and I thought, if I don't leave this place now, if I come back, then I'll be here, but right. I'm not coming back, So I took my toolbox with me, and I never went back. And I was showing a buddy of mine's car on the ISCA circuit, and met a guy at the St. Joseph show, and he was advertising, had a little sign in his booth for machinists. And so I talked to him for a little bit and told him what I had been doing in the machine shop there at the truck plant. And he was looking for people, and we got to talking, and I sent him a resume. And then I called him. Of course, this was before the days of cell phones or internet or any of that. We didn't have any of that stuff, but I didn't hear from him. I was pretty excited about the possible opportunity of working in his little machine shop. And I never heard from him. And I called him. I said, "Did you get my resume?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah, it's here on my desk." He said, "I've been looking at it for a week and a half." And I said, "Well, is it a problem? Is there, you don't like it, or, you don't think I'm qualified?" And he goes, No, you're more than qualified. But he said, "I see that all this car stuff." He said, "You had a body shop and you paint, do this, and you worked on hot rods." He said, "I keep thinking to myself, you'd be a better fit for the chassis shack." And I said, "Well, I'm thinking, well, that would be cool." But I said, "I thought that was a hobby, and a night job or a nighttime thing." And he said, "Well, we're talking about making it bigger, So I ended up going to work for him in Mount Vernon, Missouri. And I was the first employee of the chassis shack.
Wow.
And so we moved down here to go to work for him. And then a couple of years after that, he decided to move on and do other things, and I just kept it going after that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool.
So we got here a little bit by accident.
Right.
But we didn't know it, and I'll just throw this in too. It's because it makes the story kind of interesting. We had kids at home at the time, 4 of them. And so my wife was running a daycare at the house, and we didn't know it. But God had other plans for this whole thing. We thought we moved here for a hot rod race car job, but she ended up becoming the bookkeeper at New Covenant Academy, which is here in Springfield, Christian school here in Springfield, where our kids were going to school. And she, to this day, is now the CFO, and next year will be her 30th year as part of that school. So this whole move wasn't about me. We just thought it was really about her being at that school, because she has done great things over there. She won't brag about it, but she's done great things at that school over 30 years.
That's a great story.
Awesome.
That's a great story.
Yeah. So that's the story of how we got here. But we thought it was about me, but it wasn't.
It's usually not about us. It's usually
I was just an add-on in the big picture.
That's it. So when did you start managing the Ozark Raceway Park?
That started in 2011. The Chances had bought the track. Marty and Mitch and Neil had bought the track in 2008, I believe. And so they had it a couple of years, and we're kind of trying to get it going. And again, we'll revert back to nobody really knows what they're buying,
Sure.
It looks easy on the outside, buying a racetrack and running a racetrack. And everybody finds out it's not, including the Chance brothers. And of course, I had worked out there. I'd raced out there and have been involved with the track since 92 or 93, basically, in one form or another. And people were calling. I knew a lot of people. Larry and I were pretty well acquainted. We weren't necessarily tight of friends as we are right now, but everybody knew me. They kind of knew me from Chassis Shack, and people would call and go, "What's going on out there? What?" And I said, "Dude, I'm not part of this. It's not my party. The Chances bought it, and it's their track. And they'll have to run it as they see fit." And finally, one night after the phone was ringing for the umpteenth time with somebody's problem, my wife finally says, "Why don't you just go run that track for those guys?" And I thought, wow, you'd be in on that. I would have never expected that statement, So I contacted Mitch and I said, you need help. I said, I'd help you guys if you want, you know, you and your brother. And so it just kind of came out of that.
Okay.
I ended up kind of taking on the day-to-day stuff and you know, and Mitch was a lot more involved than people ever gave him credit to. People always said Mitch wasn't very involved, and he really was, but he liked it a lot better when he wasn't the face.
Sure.
And that he had me to be the face. So it worked out okay.
Roger that. So that was from 11 till
18.
18. Okay.
Yeah, 11 through 18.
Okay. Right on, right on. And then, so I've only known about the Titans of 10.5 for a few years myself. How long has it been going?
Well, Larry and I started that in 19.
Okay.
That started over a Mexican dinner.
Yeah. Well, we kept hearing all the time that, you know, man, we need to just go back to shootout racing, the OG style. Man, those shootouts back in the day used to be so much fun. The old school shootouts used to be so much fun. We ran big tire cars, we ran small tire cars, and there was no freaking rules, and everybody got along. Everybody was just having a good time. You know, man, I wish we could just go back to that. And so that's what we did.
Made a phone call to Mitch and said, we need a date.
Yeah.
And he said, name the day, and the rest is history.
Yep. And we actually just ran did we run 2 races that first year just at Ozark, if I remember.
Yep.
And it was small tire stuff, but we had a 28.5 class, and we had a 29.5 class, and it didn't take too long to see that wasn't the way to go. But it worked out for that first year, and we had cars, and it was a good place to start there at home, you know. And it was our group. People knew us, and they came out, you know, the local guys, and some of the guys that still race to this day have raced Titans ever since it started.
Ozark's still our home base. We call that's our home track for the series, you know. And we're actually doing the finals there this year. We've always done the finals at Mocan and had a change on that this year, and we're going to do the finals. The world finals will be at Ozark this year at the finale. So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm kind of excited about that as well. That's going to be fun to be home for the finale.
Sure. Well, and I know this year it came down to the last race, right?
Well, the Outlaw 10.5 came down to the last pass of the last race.
Wow.
And to say those guys come out swinging this year is an understatement.
Yeah.
Jake and Devin, it was up to who won that final pass, who was going to be the champion.
That's awesome.
You know, we go to the first race of the year last season at Centerville down there in Arkansas, and you know, Russell Foreman comes out there with his Camaro, 959-inch motor, and rips off a 417, and I mean that just rotated the earth down there, and that put everybody on notice, and it just spiraled out of control from there. And then Davin's running 14s and 10s and 11s, and Devin Brown gets the Camaro, and it's just absolutely insanely fast. Craig Ondrick's back this year. He's knocking numbers off that car. I mean, this year's going to be good. It's going to be a fast class this year.
Oh, I agree.
Rodney, who did you meet in the final at Tulsa?
Russell Foreman. Yeah, 959. And I tell you what, I'll just be honest with you. When we pulled through the water box, I'm looking around like, what am I get myself into here?
Well, you say that, and this whole thing, you know, when it started with those 2 races at Ozark in 2019, Larry and I, the idea was, I said, I'll just admit it, I'm fairly lazy. I don't want to work at this. I want to have a good time, you know, and this stuff can easily morph into a job. And if it's a job, I'm out. I'm done. If we got to make Titans a job, there ain't going to be Titans. I'll just say it out loud, you know. And Larry's the same way. So it took a little while. We sat down and we said, how can we do this with no rules? You know, and well, that's craziness, because everybody right away goes, okay, an outlaw deal with no rules, that'll turn into stupidity in 5 minutes. Somebody's gotten enough money to make it ridiculous. But it really hasn't. And the idea was to make the local guys heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just take it started out with the 10.5 guys. We didn't have the 8.5s yet. But we started out with the 10.5 guys. And I said, we need to make them heroes, local heroes, instead of blowing up these guys from all over the country that can go really, really fast on small tires. Our local guys need to be the stars, and we need to make the thing work so they're the stars. And we didn't really have enough money involved with it because Larry and I are just, like I said, broken down bracket guys. We don't have money. So we got to raise the money for whatever we can pay. I said, so we're not going to pay enough money to have the mercenaries come in. They're not going to want to travel long distances, for a couple $1,000. It costs too much to do it. So that's where it started, was just having fun, making friends and racing a little and just making stars out of the local guys. And then you take those guys that are the stars and you take them to these small tracks who need a show that they can advertise and they can make a buck on them,
Right.
Try to bring in enough spectators where the little tracks that we go to, Bonne Terre and what, all of them. Tulsa's a little bit bigger track, but Centerville and Mocan and Bonne Terre and Mid-America and Ozark, all those tracks need an event where they can walk away with a little bit of money for the weekend, and a couple $1,000, $3,000, $4,000 in the kitty. It matters to those little tracks.
Yeah.
So that's where it all started. And we say now, and we've started billing our series as the fastest small tire series in the Midwest. Our guys have turned into the mercenaries. Yeah. And no fault of ours. We didn't ask them to do it. They just keep getting sillier and sillier. That's all I'll say.
And we love it.
And we love it. But yeah, it just keeps getting self-inflicted with silliness year upon year.
Yep.
Do you like the 6 race series? Do you guys kind of want to keep it at that, that many?
Yeah. And that's more than either one of us really want to do, but it makes a good series. We still want to race our own stuff. And that's just 6 weekends that our stuff is sitting, Although you may see, I'll just throw it out there. You may see, if the weather looks good, like we got a good clear Saturday, we're not going to have to fight rain. You may see a Super Pro Gamblers thrown in at the last minute.
Okay.
And then Larry and I can drag our crap along and we can race too.
Have some fun, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you never know. That's what we keep talking about it. If the weather looks like we got a good day and we won't have to worry about a time frame and beating the weather,
Yeah. I'm all about that.
There's a secret that's out of the bag.
Okay. We heard it here first.
Yeah. You heard it here first that there may be, we can look at the weather, the forecast a week ahead of time and jump on Facebook and go, hey, it's going to be a great weekend at Mid-America. The sun's going to be out all day Saturday and into Saturday night. How about a Super Pro Gamblers? Who wants to come play with us and torture us a little bit?
And is that based on the available time in the day to pull it off, to add another?
Yeah, that would be solely based on if there's going to be the window to pull it off.
Right.
If it's an iffy forecast and we got to fight rain showers or the threat of rain coming in later in the evening or at night, then we won't do that because we need to get our race done. But
if it's a good clear weekend and there's no weather, look for that to probably happen.
Great.
Cool.
Something else we want to talk about. Me and Al kicked around this. We go out and eat, we get these ideas, and this is another one. So this year we talked about doing a bounty for the first 3-second pass. in Outlaw 10-5, whatever track it goes to, or wherever it's done at, we're going to pay a bounty. Half the pot goes to the car. The other half of the pot goes to the track prep crew.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I snagged this off of your the Titans Facebook page so we could talk about this. This is a really cool dude. It has all these cars and quest for the threes.
Yep.
So,
to all of those that say we don't prep, there's your deal right there.
Yep. Because I'll tell you what, to get a track to go in the threes, that the track prep guys, they deserve a little pat on the back. And half the bounty would go to them, half would go to the car. And we'll have a dollar figure on that here before too long. But that's what we've been talking about.
While you're talking about the dollar figure, what I want to do is Larry and I will put some money in, or Titans will put some money into that too. Sure. But anybody that wants to jump into that party, we'd love to have them. The Baron Racing guys, Dr. Justin Heckman and those guys down there, they will be a part of that bounty. Yep. We were down at their place like Thursday. I don't remember, was it Thursday or Friday, Larry?
Mm-hmm.
And Thursday. We were talking about it, and I said, Heckman, you need to be involved in this. And he goes, yeah, I do. And I said, I'm going to start throwing it out there. I said, you're in? I said, I can start dropping hints that you're into this bounty thing. Yeah, I'm in. So
that's awesome.
There's the first bonus or help on the bonus for that 3-second bounty is Baron out of Joplin.
This is a comment from Gary Harper. He says, I'm down for that idea, down for that deal. I like bounties.
Harper is he's already hinted that he does his prep at Mid-America, and he's throwing down the gauntlet. He wants it to happen at Mid-America. Hey, jump in there if you're feeling froggy, buddy. Anytime.
Oh yeah, and he's got a shot because he looks like he's the second one out of the gate.
Yeah, he's the second one out of the gate. Centerville did a good job on their track last year too. That's where Russell went 4:17 that first race out. And I don't know, did anybody ever get into the teens again as far as at a Titans race? I don't think they did.
Oh yeah, Devin did.
Did Devin get in the teens too?
And Craven.
Yeah, but at a Titans race?
Yes.
Okay, it all blurs together for me. I don't remember.
I know, like Tony Phillips, Craig Ondrick, all those guys. I mean, they're all knocking on the doors of this bounty. I mean, you look at all the Justin Hegman, Daniel Anders, everybody on that Beeler, all the people, Josh Maddox, all on that flyer right there. Every one of them cars is capable of taking the bounty.
Oh yeah,
every one of them.
Any of them could do it.
Yep. Jake Mason. Yep. I mean, any one of them can do it. Could get there under the right conditions.
Yeah. So spectator wise, it's going to be a great year to see some fast passes on small tires.
Yeah, agree. I'm excited for it. Just sitting here right now, I'm ready to start. I'm ready to go to the track.
Oh, I know. If it wasn't so stinking cold outside, we could go racing.
Exactly.
And between the tracks, it'll be fun. Like Ozark thinks it'll happen there, and obviously Gary Harper thinks it's going to happen at Mid-America. So that whole scenario of where it's going to be, that'll be fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, and it'll be a fun little deal to contest between the track crews and the prep crews, and who's actually going to make it happen. The cars are there. There's no doubt in my mind that there, like Larry said, there's several cars. So we'll see what the tracks can do. And each track, they're small tracks. It's not national event tracks. It's not like going to Extreme Raceway down in Texas. And some of those tracks, the Texas guys like to hoot and howl about, that you guys ain't even fast, and there's been some debate back and forth about, well, do it running what we're running on the tracks we're running on. And of course, I don't want to say the word pussy got thrown out there, but there was some comments back and forth last year but you guys are idiots. You don't even know. Come down here. Your cars ain't fast. Come down here. Well, I'm going to throw it out there right now. Texas needs to come up here.
Yeah.
Bring it.
All you guys that are so fast, bring it.
There you go.
Do you guys have your personal opinion or idea of who that car will be that's going to go the threes?
I don't, because that can land anywhere, any day.
Yep.
It's going to be a heated deal. There's going to be guys gunning for it. We already know that. And, you know, they already chase all over the place and spend thousands and thousands of dollars for an Ironman, or not an Ironman trophy, but a flying piston trophy.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you know, what those guys spend to get that goofy flying piston trophy that Larry and I make in the garage. And okay, I'm game. Let's just keep building them, you know.
So let's talk some scenarios.
It's a big deal to have one, you know.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk through some scenarios on that. So we're at the track. We're at the first weekend there at Centerville, and we're in the lanes. You know, lane first hit, and the first, you know, I'll make something up. The first cars that go down, someone does do a 399, so they're first. They did it.
Yep.
And then, so are they locked, or what if the car behind them comes and goes a 397?
I don't know. We haven't talked about that.
We haven't talked about
Say it's the first one there. Larry, what'd you do? Fall off your chair?
I dropped my
I'm thinking it's the first guy. But,
first one to break the 3 second zone.
yeah.
Okay.
And that's a little bit like our eliminations anyway. It's the whole thing is chip draw. You know, we don't do qualifying. We give the guys a chance to get some data, but we don't do qualifying and we don't do ladders. The whole elimination thing is run on the chip draw, so you don't know who you're going to get. So the scenarios are just wide open from the get-go.
Sure. No, that's good. And, you know, Devin's got a good shot at that because he's usually in the staging lanes the night before.
Well, most of the guys are. Friday night is usually pretty good, too, because they're already there testing and gathering data.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
And we do run 2 rounds of the Outlaws on Friday night at each track as well.
Sure,
so
sure.
Another one of those things that goes back to trying to get a good weekend for all the little tracks to have, you know.
Well, you just made a good point. So if it's Friday night testing, does that count, or it's got to be?
No, Friday night won't count.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Because it's not official. It's just testing.
Yeah,
you know?
it's just testing. I get it. Right on.
It's not qualifying.
Yep. So you mentioned earlier you were on the 29 tire, 28 tire, and you kind of went away with that. And what year did you bring in the 8.5 tire? Like you had the 10.5, and then you went in the 8.5 tire.
That was
2 years ago.
2021, Larry, I think.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Yeah, we've run them. This will be the 3rd season for the 8.5s.
Yeah.
And that was, you know, the original problem that we have to this day is how do you keep the cars running 10.5? And as these guys get faster and faster, the backside of the class tends to drop off. So you start out with 20 and 25 cars, and pretty soon it doesn't take long before there's 10 of those guys that are going, I'm not even competitive in this deal, and they don't come out anymore.
Sure, sure.
So we're always sitting there thinking, what can we do to keep those guys coming, get them back? And so Larry's suggestion was the 8.5 tires, which had kind of died and gone away. But he always liked them. And I just looked at him and I said, not only no, but I mean, hell no. I used to see those guys, they had to drag around scales, and they had weights, and they had brakes, and they had heads and this. I mean, they had a book of rules, you know, that just drove you crazy. But they always took care of their own deal. The MW 8.5 guys, they were great. That was a group that was just spectacular, but they took care of themselves, you know. They did their own tech and their own scales and all that stuff, so I didn't care. But again, I wasn't going to do it. And I asked Larry if he wanted to do all that, and he didn't really want to do it. So once again, we came up with a way to run those guys without any real rules. And the one big rule for them is keeping them on that small little slick and not a drag radial, you know. And you'll hear a little grumping about that, but that really is kind of the equalizer in that deal, is making them run the 8.5 slick, or it has been so far.
But keep your eye on that class this year, because they're going to be fast.
Because
they're already fast.
What's the record right now for that class?
What's that?
What's the record right now for that Outlaw 8.5?
It was Titans. It was a high. No, it was 82, I believe.
482 or 478. I don't have the paper in front of me. Yeah, they're high 70s, low 80s.
But I don't have it in front of me.
These low 80s, that's fast.
But it's way down there. And then Wes Choate, who crashed his car at Centerville last year, has been a 72 on that tire. So it's definitely out there. In fact, Wes, with his little copper colored car, he does not brag about it, but I'll brag about him. He is the fastest slick tired 8.5 car in the world. Now there's been a couple guys go a little bit faster on the radial, but no one's been faster than a 472 on the slick that I know of.
Okay.
So
good.
And that class has to be the slick. It can't be a little 8-inch radial.
No, got to be the slick.
Okay.
Most of the guys
are really about this. It's basically the same rule on the Outlaw 10.
And they're most of them's running on the Hoosier tire, and they're having good luck out of them. So
yeah, and there's several guys that are in the 80s, solid in the 80s, and can run that any day too. That class is going to get crazy.
Yeah, Rick Frost, all those guys. Darcy Knowles is coming out this year. They've got that car figured out.
Yeah, they've got that car figured out
already on the 8.5 Hoosier.
So Alan Phillips is in there, hot in the hunt on that deal. And
I know Tim Webb often talks about putting 8-inch tires on his brother's old Malibu.
Yep, that's a perfect candidate too. We'd love to have that car back in the 8.5 deal.
See, back when Chris Webb was alive and running that Malibu, I mean, he would come down to Ozark in the Midwest 8.5 days, and he would just dominate down there. That car would always get down. Him and Kendall would just get down, and they was always there. Always.
Yeah, they ran good on that deal. So, so look for that to be fun too.
Yeah. So let's talk about the new class, the limited 275. How did that come about?
I was saying and that's going to be fun and entertaining and fast as well.
I think this question goes with that. This is from Barry Peter. He's a local guy. He says, please share some information about the new 10.5 drive to and back from the lanes class. That's parameters of that class, right?
That's the limited, not the outlaw, but that's
right. The limited.
Yeah, the new class.
Yep. And the tricky part of that is going to be the front frame rails, and going to be the factory roof quarters and doors, and going to be the drive to and from the trailer. So, and I realize we've talked about it, it makes it a little bit hard. It makes it harder to read your plugs on nitrous. It makes it a little bit harder on some of the cars that aren't that drivable, and it puts a limit on the guys that have butched the front end off the car and moved the motor back, because you got to have a steel firewall in the stock location. So it's a way less modified car and a little bit heavier car, and then of course there's a little bit of engine limitations too, where a big single turbo or twins are limited to I believe 76. Let me look to make sure. Yep, twins,
no billet heads
on a small block, and then of course no boost on any big block, just single stage nitrous,
And no billet heads, nothing like that.
No billet heads or blocks.
We're just trying to create a little bit of separation between the classes.
Right on.
And a whole group of guys that are sitting out because they just don't have an outlaw car,
Sure. And it looks like you can run both tires, the 275, the PBR, or the 10.5, as long as it's not a W.
Yeah, same tire rules as the outlaw class.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
those rules came out. Those guys that started out with us a whole bunch of those 25 cars that I talk about, that the back half of them have dropped off.
Sure.
That class got, when those rules came out, that class got Rodney's attention. He started looking at the turbo size and the rules of that deal. And yeah.
Well, and that's the hope, and I realized, we kind of had a dumpster fire there when we initially announced it too, because there was a whole lot of cars on the I don't know what word I want to use, but a few of the guys that can't run teens and 20s,
sure,
that would like to step out. And we're not trying to take anybody out of Outlaw. That was not the idea,
Right.
We're trying to pick up a whole group of guys back there that really don't have the same kind of cars.
Okay.
They just got a heavier car that was never meant to be in the Outlaw class the way it has morphed forward.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
It's still a back half stock front type car,
Yeah, and you're keeping the boosted big blocks out, which I've seen other series doing that too,
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think it's going to be fun. I think you're going to be I think there's going to be a lot of cars, and there's going to be some new cars. We've had calls already. Does this fit? Does that fit? And from some places that you didn't expect it even already. And of course, Matt Moore has stepped up to be the sponsor of that with Moore Race Chassis, which was really cool too, that he popped in right away to be a part of that and be the title sponsor for it.
That's great.
And he runs that type of class in the drag and drive, like Rocky Mountain Race Week or some of that 6 week type stuff. He runs that.
He's part of Rocky Mountain Race Week and things like that. So he's set with those guys and he knows them. And so we were pretty excited about that. That was a great addition. And we thank him for jumping on.
Well, that subject of this is new information to us. This is from Gary Harper. He says in 2025, Mid-America Dragway will be adding this class next season. A title sponsor has come on board to fully fund the class. This is the first time we're hearing of this. This is really cool.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well,
I might have to dump my big block.
I would say, hey, Gary, your title sponsor needs to join in the fray this year, and we need to visit with him and sweeten the pot or do something for Titans this year.
Yeah.
There you go.
Take away from him for next year. Not trying to say that, but
sure,
we would get whoever that is some airtime and some recognition this year for sure.
He says this deal was put together yesterday, so this is really, really, really new news.
It's hot off the press.
Perfect. Wow. Well, and I'll be seeing Gary this weekend at the Dome meeting, the drag strip operators meeting. So we'll definitely be talking about that.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is great news for racing, and
this is Craven, this Facebook user. This is Craven Moore. He said somebody had a good idea about this class.
Yeah.
Must be some inside to that.
Inside joke there.
They ran it at Ozark last year. Pretty close, pretty similar to it. And Chris and Nate Bell, I say Chris Craven, and Nate Bell kind of dreamt it up, and they ran it pretty successfully at Ozark last year. A little bit different than this, but pretty close.
Yeah.
Right on.
Cool.
So now we're excited for that for sure. And as soon as I saw this new class came out, I was, called Gary up like, "Did you see this? Did you see this right here?" And so
anybody want to buy a big block?
Just pull it out and save it. You'll need it later.
Man, I don't know.
That's good stuff. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out, through the next year. And that's exciting just to have, get in where you fit in, right? And just have more classes, options, and and so that's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Well, and we Larry and I carry around this big sign to all the tracks that, make friends. Tell me what it is, Larry. I've lost it in my.
Have fun, make friends, and race a little.
Have fun, make friends, and race a little.
I got a picture up here on my cabinet. it's from Memphis. Memphis had a little shack under their walkover tower.
Yeah.
And it had that sign on this little deal. And I climbed up in that window and sat on this. Was on drag week in 2012. And I got that picture, and my buddy Keith took that picture, and it was always a cool saying, I thought.
Oh yeah. And that's what we just always strive Titans to be, while it's gotten very competitive, it's still about having fun, you know.
This is Craven again. He says, I think it'll grow to be the biggest class in the Midwest. I love seeing it catch on.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think he could very well be right.
There's a lot of cars sitting in the shop.
What's that?
So there's a lot of cars that's just setting that, they'll get them on the limited rule set, and you're going to see them come back to the track. So
Yep. They've kind of gotten a little bit. I'm not trying to insult anybody or hurt any feelings, because I get it. Larry and I are bracket racers. We just don't have that kind of money to race with. We're doing good to race what we race. And so I get it when you can't step up to buy those motors and step up to get those cars that it takes to run that now. These guys that have a more limited back half stock front type car, and so the idea is not to make them feel bad about what they have, but to get them back out and race them.
And you got guys too that maybe they've been bracket racers for years, and they've got a little Fox body Mustang that they've Super Pro raced or no electronics raced, and they've got stock front suspension, and they want to buy a little turbo LS or do whatever, and put their hands in it at heads up racing and jump in a little bit. Limited is where they can go, or 8.5. So I mean, there's just it's just another opportunity to get more cars at the racetrack.
And more fun and a better show for the people in the stands.
That's it.
And even locally here, we have a couple guys that they don't want to chase that 420, 430 class. They have to run that to go rounds in that deal. And, but they'd go 470, 480 or that upper 4 range, but they just don't want to chase that 420 stuff. So that'd be another place for them to race.
Well, and I don't ever discourage anybody, and don't get discouraged by the fact that there's guys that can do that. We've come to find that the chip draw thing is really an equalizer too. We chip draw in the lanes, so it's not like you can sit back there and find out who you're running and spend an hour plotting on your laptop. You kind of got to roll in and see who you draw. You number 1 and number 2 may draw each other in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Any of those guys can run 420s. They have just as good a chance of running each other right off the bat as they have one of the guys that can't quite get there to that. So, and depending on the track, I sort of alluded to it before, but each of these tracks have their own little deals that make them challenging. They might have a bump, or they might have a lane that's a little rougher on one side than the other, or they're just old, or they're not all concrete. They're it's part way asphalt, part way down. Each one has a different set of little quirks that make it tougher. So I just say you never want to count yourself out on this deal.
It's always anybody's race.
Yeah, it's anybody's race. One little bobble in a 420 car and they're done.
Yep.
And it's your when you're running your laptop setting up your tune for that track you're on, it's your confidence with your laptop tune and what track you're getting ready to race on. And we've seen what Harper can do with the surface.
Yeah.
And Devin showed everybody in October what that's all about. So Mid-America, that track can do it, and I don't want to give away any of the little things at anybody's track, but they all have little things, and you can't take your tunes from one track to the other. That's the other challenge of this, is every track has its own set of tune-ups and its own set of graphs, and you get a couple shots to figure them out, So the fastest of the cars is not always the guy that comes out on top.
You got to go race. You just got to go race the day and race the track and race your opponent, whoever he might be.
And have fun while doing it.
Fun doing it.
Yep.
Also real quick though, we're talking about the heads up side of Titans, but we got a real good bracket and index side of Titans with motorcycles, juniors, the index classes. I mean, there's a great program for the index, for the motorcycles, for the junior dragsters. We always had a great group of motorcycle fellows. Pro Tree No Box. That's another class that me and Al dreamed up several years ago over dinner one night, and it's turned into be a real good deal.
Cool. Let's talk about that. The index classes. Let's just talk about that. I noticed a little difference because you guys run the instant green tree on that.
That's the equalizer on the indexes.
Yep.
You got to get in there. You can stage however you want. You cannot go deep. I say that again, on the instant green, you cannot go deep, but you can go as far as you can without going deep.
Yeah.
And anybody that knows what I'm talking about knows what I'm talking about.
Sure.
You got to get yourself as close to that start line as you can. And it's instant green. It just bangs on in your face, and you got to be ready, and you got to run the index. And it's pretty competitive, whether it be 580 or 650, either one. Those guys have gotten good.
We got a couple guys that, from Centerville, up around your neck of the woods, Chris Kowalski. I don't know if you guys know him or not. Got Little Vega. He follows us every race, and he's the example of a Titans racer. And he lives it, and just looking for a great season on the bracket index side. Motorcycles, you name it, we got it. It's going to be a good season.
Oh, that's exciting. That's really exciting, actually.
Yeah.
It looks like I like your schedule too, because even it's not too far, but yet it stretches out to enough people where they can come to it. And I was going to ask you as well. Let's move on to like points on your series here. You have a points with this, and what's the rules? Because you said that Devin and Jake came down to the last pass. So how does the points work?
It's we just threw it out there, threw shit at the wall when we started, and the idea was you try to get people to travel, you try to get them hooked into the points deal, based on the flying piston guys and that stuff, and the big checks. We do big checks for the winners each race, and for the champions, and we do the flying pistons for the champions. So we wanted to make it a points race, a close one, and we just dreamt it up one night and just threw it out there, and it's worked out really well as based on all of the classes that were so close at the finals at MoCan each year. But you get 1 point for showing up and being race ready. You get 1 point per round one, and you get 3 bonus points for all 6 races.
Oh, okay. So there's no throwaway race. You don't have to do 5 out of 6 or anything like that.
No, we've always had to run all of them.
Okay.
And that way you gotta follow.
Yeah.
So it takes a dedicated guy to do it.
Yeah, I got it.
Either that, or you've got to be doing really well where you don't need the 3.
Yeah.
Is there any?
But yet it's not enough. The 3 isn't enough where a guy couldn't do that. It's not so many points where he goes, well, I missed. I'm 10 points out right there. I can't ever make that up.
Right.
It can. If you miss one, you can make it up.
Okay. Is there any special points for like breaking a record, or a special points basket that may come with that $3.99 pass?
There won't be any special points on doing it, but we do have a point for setting a record.
Okay.
Or a half a point if you set ET or mile per hour. You know, if you only get half of it, then you get half the point.
Right.
And then we also, if you jump into the second chance on the outlaw and the limited, it's half a point for a round win in second chance.
Okay, that's good to know.
Cool.
Yeah.
What,
so even if you get stung, you're not out. You know.
Yeah, you can keep going. You got all your equipment there. Will you have a second chance race for limited 275?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you just buy into that in the lanes. We just, bring it up, we call it up right behind the class, bring it up. Whoever's run the lanes, whether it be me or Paul Hedden or whoever, will just take your cash, and it's a winner take all for the second chance.
Okay.
But if you're hot in the heat, hot in the hunt, I should say, you may want those half points.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point there. Yeah, we touched on the heads up, touched on the index. You got the junior dragsters. Let's talk about that for a little bit. So you got a pretty good following there on the juniors?
It depends on the track. There's a few kids that follow it, really serious. And then each track has different levels of junior dragster, local kids, and they have a great time, honestly, running that pro tree well. It's something different for them. They're not used to doing it. But it feels like they're big dogging,
Sure.
That they get
we've had a few kids over the years that they're like, and their parents are like, man, I don't know about this pro tree, and the kid found driving talent they didn't have, and go out there and absolutely kill the pro tree rolling in deep, and had a ball doing it.
Right. Have you seen any kids graduate out and do index from the juniors?
I don't think anybody's out yet at this point that's been running Titans. Of course, we've watched kids for years graduate out at Ozark and jump into big cars, but I can't think of any of the kids from juniors at Titans that have moved out.
No, because Hannah Phillips, she just finished her junior dragster race. I don't know what she's going to do, but she's a multi-time Titans junior champion, and she's an awesome racer. And she got out of the big car, or the junior this year, and so I don't know what her plans are.
Kids with the Spaniac crew has to be close, I think, doesn't he?
Yeah, probably so.
I get those kids mixed up, but I think it's Damien. I think he's got to be close to graduating out of juniors.
Probably, but as in general, the whole group of the junior kids that follow us are such good racers, so competitive, and you see them in the lanes, and they're cutting up, they're getting along, they're down at each other's trailer playing, and throwing cornhole games and doing that in between rounds, and they're having fun, but they're serious when they're racing.
That's awesome. That's great to hear.
Yep.
Really great to hear.
I won't tell you that the adults don't play games Friday night after we get done too.
Yeah, thinking the same thing.
There's been cornhole and wing table gambling and cards and dice and
there's one thing
I won't call out the guilty parties there.
No.
But there's usually a pretty good gathering of people for party time after Friday night gets over too with the Titans.
There's certain cars where the wing on the back is perfect for throwing dice.
That's awesome.
And some other card game, I don't even know what it is in the pot, and they're going around with I don't know what it is, but they're having a darn good time doing it. I know that.
Yeah,
sure.
So
sure.
Yeah, just come out and enjoy the fun with us, man. When me and Al, we worked pretty hard on the off season on this and gathering sponsors, and I'll tell you, the sponsors we do have, I mean, we couldn't do it without them. And the good thing about our series is we have a lot of the racers that help us sponsor as well, and we just couldn't do it without them. Just could not do this deal without the people we got in our corner. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
No, it's not our money. It's everybody else that helps us do it, and 417 Motorsports and Moore Race Chassis and Eagle Machine and Hot Wired Auto Sales in Joplin and Show Me Speed and Limoland here in town and TNS Race Car guys and the Show Me Outlaw Bike guys that put up a lot of their own money. And we got the Nixa General Baptist Church and I got a little thing from the Lizard Pit Lights guys this year.
Marco Automotive, D&J Components.
Yeah, Marco Automotive and DNJ are big title sponsors, that help us with the end of the year stuff. And
Everlast Construction.
Justin the other day jumped in on this bounty thing, and I'm old all the time. His name leaves me, but the fella from over your way with the Extreme Oil and
Morgan Fusca.
Yeah, Morgan Fusca. Right. I haven't called him yet, but I'm going to call him, and I'm sure he'll jump in somewhere on this thing, especially that we're back at MAD, because he's from that area. And just there's a lot of people that do stuff with us, and each of the tracks that are excited to have us too, and they go out of their way and they put down the prep and spend their money on glue and what have you to make this thing happen, so it's all of it. It takes all of it. If it was just Larry and I, we couldn't do it. And so we appreciate all those people.
That was a great shout out there for all them. If it wasn't for our marketing partners, couldn't make it happen,
Yeah. Oh, and Everlast Construction helps us do Tulsa.
Yep.
I don't want to forget that. And I'm sure I forgot somebody, so I'm terribly sorry that I forgot you. I really am.
Sure. Do you have any predictions on this year of any goals besides the 399 and all that?
Widely scattered, fast, small tire cars.
And lots of sunshine.
Lots of sunshine. First time ever. I said even on the last day of the last race, just don't talk about it. Don't make it angry. But we did not get rained on last year. We got all 6 races in.
Oh, that's great.
Wow.
That is great.
So
there was one race, and it may have been at Ozark, where the last pair of cars ran. We got the check signed, and it started raining. But it held on all day long.
Centerville, we had a couple pairs of index guys that had to split too.
Right.
But we had the Outlaws done and the others done. We just had a couple pairs of index guys that had to split the money at Centerville. It rained right at the end. Supposed to rain at 8:00 that night, and we just watched it the whole night from 8 till midnight. And it didn't rain. We just kept racing, and we got done over there too. But other than that, we didn't get rained on all last year. So I try not to talk about that too much.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just excited for next year. I'm excited to see what this limited 275 class is going to do. Even for myself, I even thought about putting 8.5s on just to try it with the Hoosiers. I mean, and to your point, like I've been to 2 or 3 of your events over the last 2 years, and the chip draw does make a difference because I saw a couple of sharp. Yeah, they had to, draw each other, and then somebody red lights or hits the tires, and it's a race. You don't have to be the fastest for sure. And
no, and that first round sets the scenario for somebody else back in the line that maybe they aren't as fast, but all of a sudden the guy or two that could have beat them is not in anymore. So
sure,
every round changes the scenario completely. So you never want to count yourself out. You just don't, because it's the way it's fashioned, and you just got to go in there and race your ass off and put your best tune up in it and get it down the track.
That's it. Gary, how the comments looking?
Comments look good. If anybody has any questions or stuff, throw them out. Let's have them. And we've pretty much brought up in as the time they popped up what's been there. So if anybody has any more comments or questions, let's have it.
Yeah, we haven't got bashed today.
Not yet.
Wow.
Liked you so far.
We haven't got bashed today. We're doing good.
Maybe because it's Sunday.
That's it. Yeah. The day off.
Yeah.
Everybody's being nice today.
Yeah.
I got a question while we're waiting on that, because I see some stuff going on over here. The driving up to the lanes and driving back, is that being policed, or what if you were driving back and you run out of gas on the way back? Just your guy brings you some more gas, and
I'm watching. Yeah, you could throw some more gas in it. I wouldn't care, but you're going to fire it up and drive it back.
Right on. Okay. Now, just things I was thinking about.
And the tech on some of this stuff too. While I'm thinking about that, everybody says, "Well, there's no tech." Well, they don't realize when I'm walking around or I'm walking down the lanes, I'm looking at stuff all the time.
We keep a pretty good eye on stuff.
Larry wanders around, looks at stuff, and some of the tracks have more tech than others, but the limited, we're going to have to look at cars. There's no doubt about that. We'll have to check those guys over a little bit and make sure they're legal. But we look at them all the time. We'll bend down and look underneath, make sure they got a pan or a diaper. I know in some of the bracket stuff last year, there was some stuff that was pretty loose, and we're going to have to be watching a lot closer about seat belts and helmets and some different things. So anybody who is listening and you got some questionable stuff, get it out there and get it changed. I got to get new belts. Larry's got to get new belts.
Yeah.
We're as guilty as anybody. I'm not saying we're above it. We're as guilty as anybody. But go get your belts and put them in if you need belts. Get them up to date. And don't be coming with your motorcycle helmet. Get a helmet.
Right.
A legal one.
Yeah, we were setting up at the top of the Tulsa Tower a couple of years ago, and my nephew was running my car at Tulsa, and I'm going to tell on myself here. And the tech guy at Tulsa, my nephew rolls around the tower, and he does a big burnout at my Malibu, and the tech guy was up there, and he's like, "I teched that Malibu right there, and his belts expired 10 years ago." And I was like, really? That's crazy, and it was my fault, so I felt really bad about it, So, note to self, I got to get belts too. So,
yeah.
But just check yourself over, make sure you got your gear that you need. Get a fire jacket and a pair of pants if you're not wearing them when you should be running alcohol, and we don't do shorts. We're not doing shorts, and we're not doing wife beaters, and get your stuff and get what you need. We don't want to get anybody hurt. We're having fun. Nobody gets hurt, but it can happen any day. So
sure.
That's just
so we got about 3 months here to get your safety stuff, before we start.
Thrown out there now, and you'll see it on the Facebook page here coming up pretty quick. It probably won't be this week because I'm kind of busy with the dome this week, but we'll get it thrown up after this about getting your car up to snuff, and
head and neck restraint.
What's that?
The head and neck restraint.
Yeah, if you're going fast.
Yep.
That's going to be, that's a new rule for this year.
Yep.
Pretty much drag racing wide. If you're over 150 miles an hour, you're going to have to be in a neck restraint, and there's going to be people that aren't going to like that.
Yep.
But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And is every car mandatory a belly pan or diaper?
Outlaws all are. And I'd have to look. I think, let's see, Pro Tree No Box and 650, they're recommended. The 580 is recommended too, but I really, the Outlaws are all mandatory diaper or pan.
Yeah.
And when we say recommended, we really highly recommend to put them on there. You don't want to put your car in the wall, and you don't want to mess. These guys work hard to get the track prep where it's at. It's more than just dumping glue on and dragging a little bit. That these guys work at it for days, and all it takes is one kicker rods out of something, and you got a 1-lane racetrack. And it's a lot of labor and a lot of cost and a lot of glue and labor that goes right down the drain when that happens. So just
for your own skin. You can have the slowest car on the property and it can still kick the rods out and you can drive those big old slicks in it and you're going for an ice skating ride, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a small thing and inexpensive, or takes a little bit of labor, you know. Buy a diaper and fight it on there. It sucks. We all know it, but it's $150, you know, and a pan. You can build a pan and get it buttoned up on there, you know, with some Zeus buttons, and it doesn't even have to fit real well. Just put pig mat in it so it catches the oil, you know. Everybody has this idea that it's got to be this big deal thing, and it doesn't. You know, you get it on there, something to carry pig mat so it catches oil. And if anybody has questions about that, I'm happy to have them call me and I can talk them through how to build a pan or how to get it on the car. You know, it's no fun. Sometimes it's hard. Everything's tight, but the day will come when you'll be glad it was there.
It has another benefit also. It keeps oil drips off the trailer and off the garage floor.
Well, that too.
It does that.
That too. You don't have to lay in it in your trailer or whatever on the garage floor when you do it accidentally. So there's the hidden bonus, you know.
Yes. We got a couple comments that popped up. I think this is Gary Harper says the team at Mid-America is looking forward to the opportunity to have the Titans 10-5 series at our track this year. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. We're excited to be back. You know, I hate the deal that kind of went down last year, but it just was what it was. And we don't need to go in it and rehash it, but we just had to make a last minute change and ran that race at Ozark. And I hated it. Larry hated it. But it just was a scenario that wasn't going to work out. And but we're excited to be back. We love going out there to Mid-America, and we're excited to be back. And that goes for all the tracks. These are all, I don't know, I guess I'll call them our home tracks. We call Ozark our home, but Larry and I both run at all these places, you know. I guess I've never run at Bonne Terre, but I'd like to get up there and bracket race at Bonne Terre too. But they're all friends, and I've made mention of the Dome meeting this week, which I know a lot of people don't even know what that is. But it's drag strip operators meeting and expo. And we've been having that every year for 6 or 7 years now. And it's all your track owners and operators get together. And just hash ideas and hash problems and look at insurance. You know, for the new year, we have insurance people that come in, and can give the owners and operators the tips for their insurance and their liabilities for the year. Kurt Johnson comes in and does track prep for the guys, always with new tips on how to prep and what to do. You know, there's just a lot of people there and a lot of camaraderie between your owners. People don't realize that. They all think these tracks are in competition, and they're not. The tracks try to work together. It may not seem like it with schedules sometimes and things, but they really, really do. And we tracks from all across the Midwest and even out beyond the Midwest to come to that Dome meeting. So it's really a cool deal, you know.
That is a cool deal.
And most people don't even know it happens, to be honest.
No, I'm learning something right now.
Yeah.
We got one more, Gary?
Yeah, we got a comment from our local racer here, our buddy Troy Aves. He says, ran the first 4 in Mocan when running race with Titans at 10-5. If car is up and running, plan on trying to run their series. Is there extra entry for the series?
No, everybody's in.
It's just entry fee and you're racing.
You're automatically in the points too.
Yeah, you're automatically in the points chase. So
maybe that's what his question was geared towards.
You don't have to buy extra.
Buy into the points.
And it's, if you're there at a race, it's logged on the spreadsheets, your points, and it just keeps building race upon race.
Cool.
people get misled a little bit by that, because I guess I'm just going to tell on myself. I'm a little bit lazy, and I don't put up everybody's name, because it gets to be a long, long list of when you include all the guys that have been at one race. So we usually post on Facebook the top 10 that are in the points or whatever. So people sometimes are a little misled, and they think, well, this is supposed to be points, but I'm not in it. Well, you are. You're on the paper. I just get lazy and don't like to type because I'm not a very good typist.
One of you three, and this is not me.
It's not me.
One of you is Big Duke. It's not me, and it's not Rodney.
Well, it's not me.
This is Don Irwin. Don Irwin is Hi Big Duke.
There's a story behind that.
I say Larry could tell you the story about that.
All right. So back probably, I don't know, 2013, I think, me and Don Irwin went down to Kennendale Dragway with Mike Kimmis's Firebird, was running Outlaw 10.5 down there. Real Outlaw 10.5, big tires back then. And there was just people gathered around, and big guy there, and he thought I was the money man. So I'm far from the money man. I don't got any money. And but he called me. That's how he gave me that name, Big Duke. He said, "Oh, Big Duke back here in the back is holding all the money." And so Don Irwin's never let me live that down.
Big Duke.
Big Duke.
I thought this would be a John Wayne story, but it's far from it.
No, just midnight betting.
Yeah.
Big Duke, the money man over there.
Big Duke.
That's great.
Never live that one down.
And every time I see you now, I know what I'm calling you. So.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of the way it works.
Yeah, exactly.
And I seen that. I'm trying to guess in my head which one of you would be, and
yeah, absolutely.
Now you know.
That's funny. No.
Yeah, Don Irwin always likes to stir the pot and poke fun. That's what he's good at.
Yeah,
that's what he specializes in.
Yeah, and he's obviously listening, so he hears us talking about it.
He is.
He's already watching. He's
here.
writing it down. He's gonna come back. You said.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good stuff. So, Gary, you got anything else on your sheet?
I don't. We covered the dates and the classes and the sponsors of them classes, and I'm excited for May also for you guys to come back.
Oh yeah,
Arc City. Did you guys? I know it was on the schedule a few years back. Kansas International Dragway. Did that race get rained out, or did the race get? Did it happen here? I don't remember.
It did. It didn't really get rained out, but it was one of those weekends that was really,
pretty
really
solid,
looking rough and iffy, and so we just called it, and we do the couple races that we have called like that, and that was one of them. And I don't remember. It seems like that we ran it at Mad the one time, and then another year we actually called off at Mad the same way. It was going to rain. It was just a really iffy weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about last year.
Right.
But it's one of those when it really looks like we're just going to fight the whole time. We'll make the call on Thursday night and just go, nah, we already got people calling saying, well, I was coming, but I'm not. The weather looks too iffy. And
right.
We don't want to get into a deal where spectators and you only have half the cars.
Right.
And so while it feels, some people always want to point out and say, well, you guys really don't want to race. Well, that's just a bullshit statement right there. I'll just call that for what it is.
We're racers. Yeah,
we always want to race, but we don't want everybody losing money, the track and us and everything. So we will, if it looks really bad, we will call one off. Well, we do that Thursday night or early Friday morning, so nobody has to be on the road.
You got guys following the series and say they're from Arc City or one of the homeboys at Arc City, and then you expect them to travel all the way to Centerville, Arkansas.
Right.
That's 300 or 400 miles, and if it's iffy, we got to give them time to we try to make call Thursday night, early Friday morning at the absolute latest, to give people time to not leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being a traveling series, you kind of got to worry about that. So just going forward, just watch our Facebook page Thursday night. We try to make the call Thursday night and Friday morning at the absolute latest. And we'll always give an update if we're going to be racing. The guys bring them on or we're canceled. Don't want to leave anybody hanging out there.
Right on.
Yep. And with that said, not all the tracks, but a lot of the tracks, we do have the availability to finish on Sunday too. If we do get a rainstorm or whatever, we're up in the middle, we have the availability to finish it up on Sunday. So that we can finish a race. Not everybody has that option, but
sure.
We try to kind of write that into the deal when we put the deal together,
Yeah.
I don't like to split if we can help it. If we get started, I don't like to split if we can not split,
Yeah. And burning vacation time too. You want to smoke a vacation day on Friday to travel to the track and get rain and have to go back home.
Yeah.
You wasted a day of vacation.
Yeah.
I've got some people scheduling motels and everything else. So, you got to look out for the long haulers.
Yeah. So we try to figure out a way to make it work. It's not always the best decision in the eyes of everybody, but we feel we make the best decision in the eyes of us and the tracks and who's involved,
Yeah. And you also get the scenario, weather guy, he says there's a 90% chance. And I'm not talking about you guys, but you can see a race will get canceled. And then wherever that race is at localized, them local people are like, by Sunday, well, it didn't rain a drop.
And that's usually what happens.
Yeah.
I think that was, in fact, the two races we did. One was at Mad and one was at Wichita. I don't think there was any rain the whole weekend.
I don't think so either.
But I guarantee if we'd have been sitting at either track, it would have downpoured.
Oh, yes, for sure. Oh, yeah.
For half the time, it's just the way racing goes. It just is what it is,
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's a comment. Richard Forgy. Thanks for keeping the 580 index class fun series for everybody.
Hey, you bet, Forgy. We need to see you there more.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, kind of a funny story about that 580 index. A couple years ago, we ran 550, and the participation it was light. And so last year we changed up the rules and said, let's try to run it. Let's look at 580. 580 is real big down south. And so I told Al, let's try 580 and see what happens. And we made the switch and doubled the participation.
Yeah, the numbers went up.
Doubled the participation.
Right.
It went up a lot by going to 580, and so yeah, I'm just gonna say it again. Forgy needs to get there for all 6 races.
Yes, absolutely.
Getting called out right here.
Right there. I'm calling him out.
Calling him out.
The index classes I feel are more competitive than the heads up stuff.
They're pretty competitive.
Yeah.
It's no easy championship to win there either.
No.
They came down. They didn't come down to the last pass, and I'd have to go back and look in the notes. But I don't think anybody had any class wrapped up before the finals at Mocan. Maybe 650 was wrapped up by Brad Schaffner. Maybe. I can't remember for sure. But I think they had to race on the World Finals at Mocan last year in every class to decide who won.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
So it was close all the way through. What's you saying there? Oh, I'm in for 6. Perfect. Love to hear it, man.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah. Don't tempt me, he says.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I know he's had a little bit of engine trouble and stuff, I think, with his car. So he's been out a little bit the last couple seasons, but hopefully he's got a new bullet and he's ready to go.
You betcha.
Now, I could be wrong about that too. I'm not sure.
It's hard to keep up with everybody.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
But we try, like I say, he's got a lot of friends in the series, and and it's just about having a good time, and that's what we base our deal on, and I think everybody has a good time doing it, and it's quite a good stress reliever,
Yeah.
Yep. But we do depend on the local guys like you guys. I appreciate you guys doing this.
Yes.
Unbelievable, because this whole thing depends on the local guys pushing these races at their local track as well to get those spectators and to get those local cars to jump in and possibly get hooked on the series and want to follow it,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But it takes both. It takes us promoting it out here as we go around, and it takes the home guys promoting it in some fashion too, to fill the pits and to fill the stands.
Yeah, we just ask the local guys to, like and share our stuff, and if you got any community pages in your area that you know about, just share our stuff too. We keep our page public, and just drag our stuff over, put it on the community pages and whatever to help get the word out, and it's worked pretty good so far.
Agreed.
Yep.
Agree.
While I'm on that, though, or while we're talking about that, I would love to have a social media expert join us and help us out a little bit. And hey, it's a great deal because you're working for a couple of jerks and the pay sucks, But I would love to have somebody who really knows social media that could help us, beyond, with the Facebook too, because we're not good at it, but beyond Facebook with Twitter and Insta and all those things that are out there. I'm old and don't understand it. Larry's not great with it. I would love to have somebody step up and that's listening to this or somewhere out in the Titans world would go, oh, I'd help you guys out with all of that,
Yeah.
Because that's where we lack. We know we could go so many more places and promote it so many different directions if we just knew how to do all that.
Sure.
And understood all of it, So I'm throwing that down too as well right there.
Cool.
No, that'll work. Also, don't you have a photographer that kind of follows around, does some videoing and taking pictures?
Well, we're looking for somebody new this year, actually. So, if you're a photographer, that might want to follow the series, that'd be great. And I've got a couple ideas on that one already too, that we might have somebody new. But there's lots of photographers at every track, and it can get to be where there's too many people. So we kind of like to clear them. We like them to call or message and say, hey, I'm this guy, I'm that guy. And we do kind of have a requirement of being somewhat legit. I like to see that you've had your page for a year, and like to see that you have 1,000 followers, that you actually are a photographer, and somebody that does that, as opposed to someone with a cell phone that just wants free tickets,
Well, in the off season, and I'll add to that, because in the off season, our page gets bombarded with, hey, I'm such and such, I'm starting new photography, blah, 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 and all my requirement is, get me in for, your races with 6 tickets, well, you got to have some credibility, and we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. And it gets too crowded. There's 8 photographers hanging around there, all crawling over top of each other. It just gets too crowded and it's unsafe. So we kind of screen it and kind of keep it down to a minimum, and just try to not get in the way of the cars and the track crew. So it's a little bit of a touchy deal. You got to be kind of careful.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's a good point to bring up as part of the package, because people come there and they race their cars. And of course, on Monday, they're looking for photos and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so that's a good thing to have there. And most tracks do have their own personnel. So
but support those guys, I'll say that about that again. And we didn't really get to talk about this too much. We kind of talked about our history and stuff where we come. People need to understand your spectators and your fans and your whatever, and you're enthusiasts, man, support your tracks. If Titans is one good way to come see a race, a lot of good racing, but all the tracks we go to, they all have different events too throughout the year. Pull up their schedule, see what you might like to come see. Ozark Raceway Park is an example. I see that Chris just posted up the other day. JJ is going to be back. That event was huge last year at Ozark. And I know MAD has a small tire series they're going to run. Centerville has a small tire series they're going to run. Mocan runs Funny Car Chaos and Nitro Chaos. Yep. Cool events. But all these tracks, nobody's getting rich here running a racetrack. So support them as much as you can. And I realize that there's live feeds out there and you can sit at home and watch the live feed. And that's cool if you're, 500 miles away and you want to see Funny Car Chaos at Mocan and you can watch it. But man, if you're local, please, please, please go to the track and buy a Coke and a hamburger. Buy a T-shirt. Buy your tickets. Take your buddy next door. Come out to see the racing. And I get it. It's bleachers. They suck to sit on. It's hot. You might sweat a little bit. Boy, that'll kill you. But if you want a racetrack and you want drag racing to stay, you got to support your local track. And I'm on my soapbox now. I can't help it, but it just takes every dollar from everybody to keep these places alive. I mean, and I say that literally because a lot of them, they're not hanging, breathing their last breath, but there's nobody killing it on Monday when you go to the bank. Nobody. It's just not that lucrative. They're all fighting to survive. And that was the reason we started this dome meeting thing several years ago, was just to get track owners together to compare notes and say, hey, who did what? Who cooked what at their concession stand that they couldn't make fast enough? Where's the place that you get your T-shirts? What do you do for this and what do you do for that? And who's got cheaper insurance and who's got a deal on glue? It all matters to these track owners, And enough from Pastor Al at this point, right there.
Well, that's well said. I mean, and we got to keep those tracks open. You hear all throughout the years how they're just closing up for us, and we just got to support them. I agree 100%.
Yeah. And Larry can tell you, after helping me out for so many years, you have no idea what goes on behind the scenes. You have no idea what those guys go through, the crew, what they do, week after week. For their pay sucks. I'm just going to tell you, they don't get paid shit. They're out there in the heat busting their ass because they love watching these guys race and they love being a part of it. But it ain't because they're getting rich. It's a second job and they're out there killing themselves.
When you go out there and your car spins the tires, track crew takes it personal. They take it on the chin, and it's just a hard way to go sometimes,
Sure.
So support them, tell them thank you. Try not to drop beer bottles on the water box, and pick up your trash, and throw it in a barrel, because somebody has to pick that piece of trash up Monday. If you don't, put it in the barrel, just do all you can. Don't tear up the bathrooms, be great spectators and come see great racing and support it. That's
Al's managerial side's coming out now.
Well, it's the racer side too, because we want the place to race,
Right.
I said from the get-go when I became the manager of Ozark, everybody said, why would you want to do this? And I said, I'm selfishly motivated. I want to keep a track to race at.
Yep.
I'm looking out. I'm thinking about me, Call me selfishly motivated.
Well said.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
So
just kind of looking at our comments and everything, I think we got everything wrapped up. This is kind of where the point where we go around the table, just kind of closing thoughts and comments. I appreciate you already giving your shout outs to all your sponsors. That was really well done. And so I'll just start with Larry. How you doing? Do you have anything else you want to comment before we go?
I just want to tell everybody, just come out, have a good time with us. Get in where you fit in. You always hear that line. We have a class for just about every car out there. Come out, support the series, support your local racetrack, and let's make 2024 great again.
Roger that. I said, Al, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I've talked plenty, and said plenty. I can't believe I haven't got bashed for something, but that's okay. It's a good day, obviously. But pull up our page. It's Titans of 10.5 on Facebook. I'll have the new flyers. I've got our flyer girl making a few edits, and we'll put them up hopefully this week. The new updated ones, which it was just little typos and things like that we had to edit. But pull up our page, look at the flyers. The rules are simple. It's super easy. Try something new. I realize it's not Super Pro and it's not No-E, it's not Top and it's not Mod, it's not Sportsman. It's a little bit different, on the bracket side of things. And the Outlaw cars are bad fast, and it's a unique system to pair them and run them. But it's all about fun, and it's super simple. You don't have to go through a whole lot to run anything. And Larry said it right. There's a spot here on this page for just about every car that would ever go to the racetrack. So you just got to be brave enough to jump in, get in where you fit in, and come race it and have a good time.
And if you're worried about the chip draw, that's usually the funnest part of the whole deal. That's where the trash talk happens.
Yep.
And it's pretty fun.
That chip draw is a turd flinging fest. There's no doubt about it.
It is.
Anybody that's been in a chip draw knows the crap flies,
Yeah.
So
that's great.
So yeah, but we appreciate the heck out of you guys doing this, and the fact that you picked this up, and have us on here, as we get closer to Mid-America, or if we get closer to Centerville even, and Mid-America both. Love to do it again with you, if we can get you guys convinced of that. We haven't worn out our welcome. So,
not at all.
All right, good. Well said.
We appreciate your guys' time this afternoon.
Go Chiefs.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Trying to steer around them ball games to
weeks. Oh, I know what we need to do. Where if we need to put on our page, or can you put the link on our page to get to you guys?
Yes.
Yes.
We'll do that. We can get it we can take this feed, post it to both of your guys' profile page, and you can share it onto the Titans page from there, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know how that worked.
Sure.
But we'll get it up on the Titans page too. However you need to do it. If you need to share it to me and Larry both, or just me or whoever.
Yeah.
And then we can't share it over to Titans.
Yeah, we can't. We don't have access to the Titans page. We can't do it because it's your guys' deal. So we'll just have to put it on one of your pages, and you guys will have to take it over from there.
Okay,
we can do it.
And it'll be, this is going on our group page, our Facebook group page. It's also going on YouTube. So whichever one you want to put up,
right?
It's up to you guys.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll get it handled and get it to you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We just like to get it out there to as many people as can see it, and so they know about your podcast too.
Right on. We appreciate that. Yes.
Gary, you got any closing comments?
There has been no more new comments. I take that back. Mrs. Harper, he's talking about photographers a while ago. And Mrs. Harper says we have track photographer. There will be plenty of pics at Mid-America Dragway.
Okay, cool.
Tracy Lynn is one of the photographers. And he's talking about our fancy little intro. She built that intro for us, and she's really talented at that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
So she did that, and she takes great photos, and she helps out in a great way. And this was Mr. Harper talking about all about pride with taking care of the tracks, the trash, picking up after yourself, that kind of stuff. So
it absolutely is. It is about pride. Have a little pride in your place and support it.
Yep.
Very good.
If it's gone, we'll all be crying,
Yep.
So just want to final closing comments here. Please go to the Titans of 10.5, like, share their race series coming up. It's a great time. I've been to several of these events. They treat you like family. You're not going to have any trouble. It's a great series. Also, go to our page, Heads Up Racing, Gary and Hot Rod Podcast. Give us a like, give us a share. And we're always putting stuff up every day, just working on our cars or shout outs to people. And next week, we got a hold of Mr. Brian Carpenter, Carp. So we plan on bringing Brian Carpenter back in, or bringing him in and talking to him next week. So it's going to be Saturday, January 27th, 7 p.m. So get a note there. We're staying away from the football games on that as well. So Carpenter is going to come on, talk about his little operation that he's got. You know, he was the track record holder at MAD for many years. And then we're trying to convince him to get back down here from Minnesota. Maybe he can hit one of these Titans of 10.5 races as well. So that'll be great. He's got a great
there you go. We heard about him. The 30, whatever, 430 or something a couple of years ago. That's
it
another
stood
one.
for a while.
Bring that on down there, buddy.
Right on. Sounds good.
We do have a comment. This is our local guy, Ron Rich. He says, can you run more than one class?
Yeah, as long as you make the lane call.
Ron, I don't see you doing that, but if you do, good luck.
We're happy to sell you as many tech cars as we can, but if you don't make your lane call, we're not waiting.
That's right.
That's fair. All right. Well, again, we appreciate it. We had a great time here. Went almost the 2-hour mark, which we usually do. So it was great learning more about you guys. And, you know, I want to push this series. I think it's great. You know, Gary and I appreciate what you're doing as well. And we want to support you. And we'll definitely get you back on once it gets a little closer and pump this back.
All right.
Up.
Well, cool. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah,
And
appreciate you guys.
Yes, reach out to us if you got something you want to say. Reach on out, and we're here all the time.
Okay.
We're always
Perfect.
Here. And let's give a shout out to the partners that help us out for 2024. Ultra Color Collision Repair, Sandlin Iron and Metal, Mid-America Dragway, and Harry Street Carpet. Thank you to those partners for partnering with us 2024.
Let's do it.
Yep.
All right. See you guys later.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Al. We'll see you guys later. And people watching, thank you for watching. And we'll see you guys later. See you, Al.
See you later. I got to figure out how to turn myself off here.
All right, Rod.
All right. Good job. Thanks for getting those
fun. That was good info on that series.
Yeah.
What a cool group. Yep.
No, what a great group. That was good. And I just
what did I do
had
here?
a good time with that.
Oh, I was looking at. Good job, guys. This is Jason Cypret. I'm not sure who that is, but good job, guys. I don't know if he's talking about us or the Titans guys, but either way, whoever, good job. All right.
Well, another one out the book. Was this number 20?
Yes, it is number 20. Wow, 20. Yes. Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's a high five.
All right. Bam.
Bam.
All right. We'll see you. Yep. Good job to you, Rod.
Yep. I got to go work on my car now.
Me too. I got same. All right. Let's go to work.
All right. See you, buddy.
See you, Rod.
Bye.
Bye.